Old Tom Gray again. So you're trying to tap holes in a piece of metal. And if you're like me, you have trouble keeping the tap straight and perpendicular while you're tapping your hole, and you end up with a crooked hole, a bolt that doesn't go in right, something like that. And you want it to go in perpendicular. So, and you don't have a tap follower, and you don't have a drill press or a bridge port to run the tap follower in. What can you do? Well, there's a couple things you can do. First, you go get yourself one of these. It's a tap guide. It's made by Big Gator Tools, made in USA. And this is a real piece of tooling. It's made of steel. It's very high quality. The finish is superb, and it's very simple. You simply clamp it to your work, and it's got hole sizes, all the standard hole sizes. And you simply run your tap through the hole with this clamp down, and there you go, straight and true. They're set up so you can cut taps on flat material, and they're V-grooved so you can cut it on rounds. So if you had to tap a hole on a round, you'd simply index it on the V-groove on the bottom, like so. But let's say you don't have one of those, or you don't have time to buy it or wait for it. What can you do? Well, there's a hardware store solution, and it looks like this. It's nothing more than a fender washer and a T-nut. I'll show you how to make one of these right now. Okay, I'm going to make a 3/8 size tap guide, and I'm going to use a T-nut. This is a barbed T-nut. It's the only one my hardware store had, so I grabbed it, and a fender washer. And you want to get the thickest fender washer you can get. So I'm simply going to take these and just clean them up with my Dremel wire brush. And I'm going to take some acetone, just a dab, and I'm going to clean these parts. I'm going to solder these together. You could weld them if you wanted to, but I didn't want to fire up my welder just for this. So soldering, you just want to be clean, clean, clean. I'm just going to use this piece of aluminum because the solder won't stick to it. And I'm just going to put the T-nut on like so. I'm going to take a number 10 screw because it fits through the hole, like so. And a nut and a little nut and washer for number 10. I'm going to tighten it up on my funny little bracket here. Okay. Let's make sure the T-nut is centered on the washer, like so. And then I use liquid solder paste because its capillary action sucks itself into tiny gaps. So just a little bit of that here and there. Don't need much. I'll back the nut off a little bit so that flux draws itself in. Good old MAP gas. Some silver solder. This stuff is great. And throw the coal to it and solder it together. You'll see the solder flow all the way around. You know you got it. Okay, there it is. I cut the little barbs off it with my Dremel, but that's what it is right there. Okay, so how does it work? Well, let's have a tap off. So here's the big gator clamped onto this piece of this bracket here. I think it's a piece of desk furniture or something. I garbage picked it. And it's got a bunch of 5/16 holes in it, which are right about the right pilot hole size for 3/8. So I made a 3/8, so it's perfect. So I'm going to tap with the big gator. I'm going to tap with the homemade old and gray version, and we'll see which one is straighter and truer. So one piece of advice is I would invest in a good tap handle. This is a Starrett. It does make a difference that your tap is not wobbling like these cheapies here. They're okay, but the tap tends to wobble, and that really doesn't help you. So a good quality Starrett or Brown and Sharp. So here we go. Pilot hole's already drilled. I already centered it, so I'm going to drop it in there. Use the world's greatest lubricant. That run down for a sec, and away we go. Let me just reposition this a little bit. Make sure I got good clamp load. Okay. A little more WD. And here we go. Okay. See how we did. Looking good. All right. We'll cut one with the ONG version. Before we test the ONG version, I forgot one thing. Rolled threads, like on a bolt or a T-nut, and cut threads, like from a tap, are not always the same thing. So you may need to chase the threads on your new little tool just to clean them up and get them to match your tap, because they don't always work. Sometimes they go in real easy. This one's not too bad, but sometimes they don't fit very well at all. Rolled threads don't have anywhere near the tolerance as cut threads, especially if you're using a good tap. This is a cheap piece of junk, but if you're using a Greenfield or something really nice, they very frequently won't match rolled threads. Okay, to use it, run it onto your tap. So the first pilot diameter of the tap is sticking through. Center that on your pilot hole. I probably got too much sticking out there. There we go. And clamp her down. And then tap away. Oops. Lubrication. And away we go. There you go. It's 3/8 bolt. This is the big gator hole, BG. Goes in there pretty easy. Okay, so bringing in right up tight here. This is a 5-inch long 3/8 bolt. That's the big gator hole. That's the old and gray hole. So here's my ancient Steric machinist square. And keep in mind this is sheet metal, so it's going to wobble a little bit, but within the tolerance of the wobbling, I can make this perfectly square. So if I tighten something up, that bolt will pull itself square. Again, keep in mind this is just 1/8 inch sheet metal. It's not like a heavy casting. Checking in this axis, same thing. Okay, this is almost dead nuts as it sits. Okay, so that's a darn square hole for sheet metal using the Big Gator. Let's try our solution. How would we do? Same bolt. Maybe a little snug going in. A little bit more snug going in. I can pull this also within the tolerance of the wobble. I can pull this straight as well. So again, this would pull itself straight. You threaded it in. And in this axis, same thing within the wobble. Okay, we maybe got a little bit of daylight down here. So it's a little less straight than the Big Gator hole. And maybe a little bit more wobble. But that's certainly a lot straighter than I could do freehand. And again, if you're in a pinch, that's one thing you can do. So I made myself 4 of them, number 10 through 3/8. Obviously, the advantage the Big Gator has is it's got all the way to number 6, all the way to 5/8, and it'll work for fine thread or coarse thread. It'll work on flats or rounds. These will only work for whatever size T-nuts you can find. And it's not something you're going to will to your grandchildren. I mean, this is a very temporary fix, but it'll get you by in a pinch. So with that, I'm going to end this one here, and it's on to the next project. I'll see you there and then.